And how is everyone today on this beautiful Sunday in September 17, 2023? Hope you're doing well, because I'm doing well, and we're going to spend a little time together, a little wellness time together, I guess, talking about AEW Collision, the show that happened specifically on September 16, 2023. I'm MrWarrenHayes. You're listening to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show podcast, and this is the show where we specifically focus in, zero in, break down, analyze, think about, and review AEW Collision. It's as if I'm doing this for this is the first episode at this point, right? Thank you everyone for being here. I appreciate it a great deal. If y'all know the rigmarole, but we're still going to walk you through it, just in case some things elude you. I don't know why they would at this point, but nonetheless, if you're watching this on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes right now, well, consider giving a like and a subscription here on the channel. That would be fantastic. And if you're listening to this on your favorite audio application, 5-star reviews, 5-star ratings, yada-da-da-da, those things help out a great deal. And I'm not even kidding, they really do. Look, we're going to keep it at that for now, because look, honestly, today is a beautiful fall day here in Quebec, the city's so nice they named it twice. So I'm excited to get out there and just soak in some sun rays. Been watching a lot of wrestling. I watched the CMLL 90th anniversary show as well, that happened this weekend, and I'm going to be talking about that on the podcast. So, now it's time to get the hell outside, and this is my type of weather. I am very much a fall guy, an autumn guy, I should say. A fall guy is something else. I'm very much an autumn guy. This is my season. I know most people, their season is summer, right? For me, like, we couldn't get rid of summer quickly enough. I'm glad we're out of it. I'm not. I'm a transitional guy. I love me the spring. I love me the fall, but the extremes, what are the solstices, right? I'm not a fan of the solstices. I'm an equinox kind of guy. Why are you talking about solstices? I'm setting up my Wiccan podcast coming up soon. We should just get going before I dig myself deeper into whatever trench I've started shoveling here. Collision, All Elite Wrestling. It says September 16, 2023. From State College, Pennsylvania, the Bryce Jordan Center, 3,585 tickets distributed for a 4,207 setup. We're a little more in the average of what AEW is doing, but this average is going to start going down over the next couple of weeks because attendance has not been good. We talked about it this week on the podcast, and I think it's more and more people are opening up this line of discussion in regards to the live attendance, which is not good. And there's no real way to go around and spin this. Live attendance over the next few weeks is not fantastic. Look, again, I talked about it on the podcast this week as to, what I think they could do. Look, I am not a booker, and no one has a magic formula right now. And I don't even think CM Punk still being around would have been that much of a change. There were, things are looking up for Arthur Ashe, as we're, see if we're going to talk about it here for a second or two. Arthur Ashe, the big Grand Slam show that's happening just in a few days. 7,307, which is up, from last, we talked about it from about 5,000. So they went up to 6,000 earlier this week. 7,307 as I'm recording this on September 17. So better, but we're still not close to last year. And it's a 20,000 seat stadium. it's not a good look. And they need butts and seats here. Then after that, things start to taper down again. The Dynamite in Broomfield, Colorado, 1,959. We're clawing our way to 2,000, which is, kind of absurd. The Collision in Seattle the night before Wrestle Dream, not so bad, 3,469. Wrestle Dream itself, 4,138 and 36. I mean, we're not tearing the house down. And then it still continues after that, right? 2,159 in California, Stockton, California. Then the Collision in Salt Lake City, 1,656. This is in 3 weeks. Independence, Missouri, 1,484. Look, I don't want to reiterate all the points. And I'm getting worked up for nothing. But don't kid yourselves on these attendance figures, kids. This is not good. And AEW needs to shift back to something that was drawing. And you know what was drawing? Do you know what was drawing when things were going really well? They were putting on matches and featuring wrestlers that people wanted to see. And I know a lot of you don't want to hear this, but a lot of people who came to AEW and have been there from the beginning were really into the elite. And I know a lot of you don't want to hear this, because there's this weird contingent of real deal elite hate out there. But you can point to attendance starting to go down, not being as prominent, when the elite were suddenly off television and not in prominent seats, not in prominent positions, on television. You can point to that. I'm not saying it's the only thing that needs to be done. It's not a band-aid, but I'm just saying. And wrestling, pro wrestling, not sports entertainment, pro wrestling. That's what brought people to the dance to begin with AEW. And the more we try to be like the other guys, well, so on and so forth. Let's get to this show. A Collision, which I thought overall was very mid. I didn't think there was anything mind-bogglingly great here. Let's use the tired comparison of a sandwich. How about that? And we're getting close to lunch, so maybe I'm a little hungry. Let's use the very tired comparison of a sandwich. If the September 16 Collision was a sandwich, you had two very good, moist, fresh baked, out of the oven slices of bread, and the crust being, just crunchy enough, just two really good slices of bread with, with the meats and the vegetables inside varying, in taste, maybe in freshness, not all that great, sort of like, and one of these where you were like, well, if they had just given me these two slices of bread with some, some nice butter, just as simple as that, or maybe if I had had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, for those of you who partake, maybe this would have been a lot better than whatever they tried to serve me here. Because I didn't think this was a particularly exciting or good episode of Collision. Let's get to it. You'll see what I mean. Big Bill and Ricky Starks defeated the Blackpool Combat Club duo of Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli. This was pretty good. See, I thought the show started off really well. Solid match here with Big Bill, again, a centerpiece of this match, continuing to be positioned as a big, strong guy. Very, very much protected in this match. Again, like this is not even news. He's still very much protected. And he's throwing Danielson around in this match. A bit of a... reminding us of Bryan Danielson's big first feud back from retirement against Big Cass back then. Oh Lord, have things changed since then. but very much protected in this match is Bill. He's throwing Danielson around, and he even stands up to Claudio Castagnoli here. Ricky Starks and Danielson trade some strikes with each other. Starks does the rope walk. Claudio Castagnoli gets a hot tag in this hot tag, he TKOs Big Bill as well, who later avoids the big swing and he choke slams Castagnoli. But Castagnoli also did 20 corner lariats to Big Bill. Had the audience counting up to 10, but then he kept going in pure Claudio style here. Ricky Starks does eats the big swing though, and later avoids the label lock by Danielson to get a near fall. Big Bill dumps Claudio over the railing. Back in the ring, Ricky Starks uses a ref distraction to low blow Danielson and get a Rochambeau for the win. So there you go. I thought this was really well done, well executed, strong opener. Audience was into it. This was very good. I liked it. And so of course, we're going to move on to more things later on. Well, why don't we talk about it right now? It'll be out of the way, right? We'll connect the dots right now. Ricky Starks, much later on in the show, he's being interviewed backstage by Tony Schiavone. He's with Big Bill again, and he says he's sick of the promo packages and is tired of putting up with, promo packages for Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson. He's in a bit of a what about me phase, and he challenges Danielson to a Texas death match next week on Collision. We're going to talk about what Tony Khan is trying to do to stack up next week's Collision. But holy shit! You have my attention. I'm into this. So this was all basically set up for the rest of the Danielson feud and so on and so forth. And don't forget, this is, we're doing this next week, which is the Collision, right? Isn't this the I just want to make sure that I'm not saying complete garbage here. Yeah, this is the Collision in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So look, we'll get to that in a second. We'll just I'm getting ahead of myself. We get another Book of Hobbs promo here. And he says the next chapter is called Destruction. Right now, Will Hobbs is all talk. And look, if there is a guy right now that you just can't say, oh, he'll be fine, it's this guy here. He needs to be put in some proper feuds where he's going to start winning them against stars, not against your Lee Moriartys or your Shane Taylors or whatnot. I'm just throwing names, a couple of names that came up, but Miro won the match at All Out. I wanted to say All In, I didn't. He won the match at All Out. So what, and I feel like we're still teasing that because Miro got a promo after and called Hobbs a son of a bitch because losing didn't humble him. So you feel that we're still going down that path, as long as we're not 50-50ing dudes, because then that's absolutely pointless. Hobbs needs to get in and get some wins over some stars, people who are a little more established than, maybe your Ring of Honor roster or, so on and so forth. Because, he says, oh, this next chapter, I've used the analogy before, I'll use it again. Right now, it's a pretty dull book. I wouldn't read this book. It's kind of boring, to be honest. And, but you want a plus? Do you want a big plus? We seem to have washed Hobbs away from the QTV stuff. So that, to me, that's a win. That is a significant plus. Back to the Miro promo. Miro moans to his God on top of, saying that, Hobbs wasn't humbled. He moans to his God about sending out his hot and flexible wife to tempt him. It's like, okay, we'll see where this is going next. AEW World Tag Team Title Match happened next. FTR defeated the Iron Savages, part of FTR's Open Challenge, part of the gaggle of open challenges happening right now in AEW. I don't know. Look, I've talked to, I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still on the same level with it. This Iron Savages thing is not doing it to me. They're not doing it for me. Did I prefer the Bear Country gimmick? I don't know. But this here, the hype bros, we're drinking, we're drinking our protein shakes and all this stuff. This has all the trappings for me of all the stuff that really annoys me in pro wrestling personas. This has everything to get proper under my skin, and not in a way where I'm like, oh, heel stuff. It's like, no, I just don't want to watch these guys, And now they're all, they did the eating ass thing one week, right? You remember this? A couple of weeks ago, I think it was in a match against the Bullet Club Gold. I think it was Bronson who did something about eating ass, and then that went, it did the rounds on Twitter, and now that's all they're doing, right? And they all do it, and I'm like, and they all do it, and they do it a few times in the match, and I'm like, all right. Like, it was organic. Now it feels forced, and it's in a package that annoys me. So I don't know. I'm having trouble getting behind this Iron Savages repackage. FTR get overwhelmed for a majority of this match until Boulder whiffs a springboard moonsault, and which leads to a shatter machine on Bronson, who was not the legal man, and a powerplex on Boulder, who was the legal man, for the win. After the match, the Workhorsemen step up to answer the open challenge. Now that is a match I can get behind. That I'm stoked for, and it's likely going to rule. Aussie Open are also backstage in the meantime as well. They're watching all of these proceedings on television, but we'll get to that in a second or three. Keith Lee is backstage with Lexi Nair. Keith Lee, take two. Keith Lee, take two. 5, 4, 3. You'd swear it was MrWarrenHayes running production on that one. What the hell? Like, come on, guys. And you know what? I was just about ready. I was just feeling comfortable enough to come back around and start saying, you know what? AEW production has tightened up. It's not as slapdash. It's not as sporadic. It's not like all over the place like it's been for a couple of months at this point. I feel they've been tightening up the ship, and then this happens. So we're not going to talk about that. Hey, a true to form pre-tape. What do you want? What do you want from me? Keith Lee was not in the building. Anyway, if we skip over all of this production nonsense that makes AEW look like Bush League. Shane Taylor comes up to introduce Keith Lee to Lee Moriarty, the newest member of Shane Taylor Promotions, excuse me. And they sort of jaw-jack at each other. Well, they mostly Shane Taylor, to which Keith Lee just answers very coolly as he wears a one-piece Fifth Gear Luffy hoodie. And I got to point that out because I appreciate that. Fifth Gear Luffy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Anyway, this is setting up to a match. John Silver defeats Anthony Bowens. After the Acclaimed do their rap, John Silver's on the mic and he says, I Googled scissoring and you're doing it wrong. Which was my favorite part of this entire match. I thought that this was fine. It was fine, just an an average, not a bad match, but dull, dull, rote. Get a Fisherman's Buster by Silver and over the knee backbreaker by Bowens. Silver distracts the ref, and then Evil Uno appears from under the ring to cheap shot Bowens and allows John Silver to get the win. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that there's all this contract business, right? John Silver has the contract, says you guys didn't read the contract. You know how much I love paperwork in pro wrestling. That's just the best. And he said, basically in the contract it was said that for this match, the Acclaim were barred from ringside. That's why Evil Uno had the run of the place. But the Acclaim run in after once the damage is done. This is all setting up a trios match for next week's Rampage. We get a tremendous promo by Eddie Kingston for his match against Claudio this week. We even got some Shikara footage. I don't believe, had we seen some Shikara footage at this point? I don't quite remember, not gonna lie, but we did get some here. Eddie, here's the thing. This is the line that I'm towing here. I think it's a tremendous promo because it's Eddie, but we've been beaten down the same content for these promos for weeks on end, where it's like, we used to be friends, we lived together, and then you started judging me. Like, it's always been the same thing in all of these promos. And not just Eddie. It's the same thing with Claudio as well. But Eddie is always able to deliver these in very compelling fashion and always adding a little extra layer of aggression to it, of anger to it, which is great. He says Claudio left potholes in the road for him that he had to clean up. And he's been trying to fix things for a long time. And he also says, Eddie says, Claudio, you're right when you say, I don't know how to keep friends. That's my curse. I push people away and I blame them for that. But now he's going to New York. All of New York always has his back. It's his home. They're built different. It says, we're built in the misery, Claudio. And he says, you can't beat me. You can't beat that. He calls Claudio a great wrestler, but he isn't ready for the misery. And he ends the promo by saying, I'm gonna fuck you up in New York, motherfucker. I'm excited for this. I don't know what to tell you. I'm really looking forward to it. Orange Cassidy and Hook are backstage with Renee. They're going to do a tag team next week. Now, I got to take a pause here in this review to just a little stop. What the hell are we doing with Orange Cassidy? I don't understand this. Now, he comes out the week after taking that tremendous beating. Hang on. I'm trying to say too many things at once. I'm on the record on that Collision review to have said, and I still believe it, Cassidy should have taken a few weeks off and sell this fucking beating that he took at All Out. I almost had it. At All Out. He needed to take time off just to sell the absolute beating he took. Now he shows up. He says, "I'm still going to be around." I'm like, okay, what are we doing? He does that glare exchange with Mox as Mox comes to the ring. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Then the week after, what do we get? He's fist bumping Hook, and now what he's fist bumping Hook, and they're gonna be in a tag team together. And I'm like, let's see how this goes. But right now, Hook is beneath Orange Cassidy. If there was one guy in this fucking company that has been elevated out of his lane and put into a strata of top guys in the company after a match, first of all, a prolonged push and a great match, it was Orange Cassidy. What the hell are we doing putting Orange Cassidy in situations where he's still fucking around on the mid-card, on the lower mid-card on top of that? What are we doing here? Now, we'll see who the tag team might be. I don't know, might be something that comes out of left field where you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, this rules. But as it stands right now, this might turn into a fumble. This might turn into a fumble. I still think Orange Cassidy should have taken off weeks, come back in a few months. People pop, they're excited to see, they're away. Then he comes back and he's inserted into a big program. Because if this is your idea, if the idea is while waiting for the big program, we're going to have Cassidy do this shit, I think it's a miss. I think it's an absolute miss. And on top of that, you can even go further than this. How did Orange Cassidy not have a big time program set up for him the minute he's finished, the minute he lost at All Out? Why isn't he slated into a big time program with someone else? Anyone else but a lower mid-carder? Right now, it feels like malpractice, booking malpractice. I'm going to give this the benefit of the doubt, but I'm going to tell you right now, my shields are up. I'm guarded against this. This doesn't feel good. Because look, recently over the past months, AEW's booking has been all over the place. I'm not impressed with it. You shouldn't be impressed with it either. So I'm not confident. I am not confident that this is going to work out. It might, and I'm all for it if it does, but I'm not confident. I think they're dropping the ball on a hot program for Orange Cassidy. Coming in stronger, hotter, feeling bigger, feeling like a big deal, feeling like he can mix it up with the top guys. I'm leaving it at that for now. Aussie Open have a squash match against Wes Barkley and PB Smooth on AEW television, just getting tossed out to the floor and being a complete non-factor, but nice to see PB Smooth there. After the match, Aussie Open challenged FTR at Wrestle Dream 1 year to the day after their match at Royal Quest. Was it Royal Quest? I believe. Let me see. And yeah, it was Royal Quest. Was Royal Quest 2 on top of that. There you go. And a tremendous match. A fantastic match that happened, as they said, a year to the day last year. Just absolutely amazing. If you want to watch it, you can, It is out there for free on the New Japan Pro Wrestling YouTube channel. And you can watch it for free. And it's a 45-minute affair, and it is just outstanding. 2 awesome tag teams. So they're doing this for Wrestle Dream. I'm all for it. This will be, if I'm not mistaken, FTR Aussie Open 3, right? I could be mistaken because they had that match. They had the match at no, they didn't have a match at Wrestle Kingdom. No, I'm butterflying effect myself here. It wasn't Aussie Open. Well, they had another match, right? This is the third. Look, I'll look into this later. It doesn't matter. I feel like I'm butterflying effect myself right now. So we're just gonna move on before I say something inherently stupid. Yeah, I mean, this is another marquee match for Wrestle Dream. Don't sleep on this. I'm excited for it. We get a Toni Storm in a Portrait of a Star vignette with RJ City, which is basically just a sit-down interview, and she complains about the lighting and the environment, and she puts over her match on Wednesday at Grand Slam against Saraya, and it's fine. I enjoy the gimmick, but I hope we don't dive head deep into it. I like, depressed Toni Storm. I like, the sudden bursts of, inappropriateness and the shoe throwing. I think that's all funny, but I enjoy it. And now like Portrait of a Star. And now we're really leaning into the silver screen thing. And I'm like, okay. I don't know. We're treading that line. It wasn't bad, don't get me wrong. I'm just worried that we're going to go too deep into it, you know. Andrade El Idolo defeated Scorpio Sky. This was a solid, well-worked match. El Idolo wants the code of honor, but Scorpio Sky tells him to get the hell out. Sky is mostly in control at first. El Idolo gets a hope spot, goes to the top rope, but Sky pushes him off the top rope, and Andrade tumbles to the floor in a tremendous bump. They trade suplexes, a bit of back and forth, where Andrade works the knee with dragon screws, tope con hilo by Sky, back elbow by Andrade, followed by the figure 8 to a big pop from the crowd for the win. What are we doing with Scorpio Sky again? I'm just asking. I'm just wondering. Like, don't get me wrong. You know, these are two guys where I'm sitting there and I'm scratching my chin. I'm like, I'm interested in the result of this match. Don't get me wrong. You know, I feel like Collision was supposed to be a redemption run for Scorpio Sky. Now I feel we're falling back into the same patterns, and then Scorpio Sky is going to be like, at some point, here's the thing, if he's always coming from beneath and he's injuries, back-to-back injuries, and I'm being held back, and you know, when it's my time, you can only be the underdog so long before you actually pull the trigger on something and give us a bone. You throw us a bone, us as the audience, throw us a bone. And I don't know. Anyway, a fine match, well worked. Again, like I said, you know, didn't get my juices flowing, but I can't say this was bad. After the match, Jay White and Bullet Club Gold come out to cut a promo at the top of the ramp. White just commands everything in this promo, and he's out to respond to Andrade watching the Bullet Club last week, and he challenges him to a one-on-one next week. And Jay White is so fucking good here. He's just tremendous. Like, he is a guy who fits absolutely into AEW, right? In the sense that he can cut a tremendous promo. Like, he hits the expectations that your typical AEW fan has. Fantastic promos, fantastic matches. He can do both. He's got the in-ring and he's got the promo chops. Like, this is just a tremendous thing here that he did. He's so comfortable, you know, so smooth on the mic and to the point. He understands how to cut a promo. He understands how to structure it. He's tremendous. And then White, you know, he stirs the pot and he says, well, why don't we make it happen now? And then officials run out to keep he and Andrade apart for next Saturday. Stacking up this next Saturday stuff. We'll get to that in a second, don't get me wrong. And hear me out here. I'm looking at this. Look, I'm looking at Scorpio Sky eating shit again and being his presentation and all that. He's just very standard. Because that's the thing. If you compare him to a guy like Jay White, where Jay White comes out and just cuts tremendous promos and is great in the ring. And then you have Scorpio Sky, who's very good at pre-tapes, not a top promo guy, and a fine pro wrestler, you know. When is the last time you saw a great Scorpio Sky match, right? I mean, this is the bar that they set for themselves. Like, I know a lot of people are very high on Scorpio Sky, but when you're surrounded by people who are tremendous workers, and I haven't seen this tremendous work from Sky. Again, he's not a bad wrestler, far from it. But maybe this is his ceiling. Maybe this is the ceiling that Scorpio Sky has, where it's like, yeah, he's a fine mid-card act, and that's where, he TNT title, and he's absolutely perfect for that role, And Anything higher? I don't know. I don't get it. So hear me out here. Don't want to give you the impression I'm just harping on this for no reason. Hear me out here. What if, I'm thinking about this and I'm like, why wouldn't Scorpio Sky join Bullet Club Gold? Like, we know he has this smarmy attitude about it because I thought his heel run was actually pretty good. I thought he had a good heel run when he was doing the thing with Ethan Page, and especially when they were separated from the rest of the Top Club America Top Team. Folks, the MMA fighters. When that all came apart, I was completely fine with that. I think he's a good heel. And I think in an environment where, guys like Juice and the Guns and Jay are all very smarmy and sarcastic and, very bombastic at the same time, I think he can fit in there. I think he might have a role in that group. But I mean, look, we're clutching at, what am I clutching at? Straws. I outside of the fact that, the thought had never crossed my mind until I saw Bullet Club coming out right after Scorpio Sky got defeated. And they didn't come out to try and protect Scorpio Sky. They didn't offer him a spot. They didn't tease anything. I'm just making up something in my mind, but I'm like, give the guy something. And Bullet Club Gold is hot. I don't know. The Righteous defeat the Hardys. This is a match that absolutely did happen, where the Hardys played the hits and the Righteous mount a comeback, and Dutch crotches Jeff Hardy, setting up for a swanton, and that leads to the Righteous landing their finisher for the win. A lot of people were surprised to see the Righteous on Ring of Honor, but if you are on AEW television and fighting the Hardys, but if you are a listener to the Mr. Warren Hayes show, because I have told you that Tony Khan is very high on the Righteous, and they were in line for a push. He really likes them. He wanted to send them to Wembley in one of the multiple versions of that card. But yeah, look, listen. The Hardys are on the job train right now, and that's fine. They come out, they get the reaction. People are excited to see them. But, from a purely analytical perspective, I could not care less about a Hardy Boys match in the year of our Lord 2023. Is that harsh? It's true, though. After the match, the Righteous challenged MJF and Adam Cole for the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles. Bit of a rambling promo by Vincent, and I think he's got to be careful about that. Otherwise, he will get saddled into comparisons to a certain other pro wrestler who is now, unfortunately, no longer part of this world, but who did have a tendency to go on these rambling promos. And, it withstands that he already, I'm not going to stop talking. I'm going to stop talking in riddles here. But, Vincent already had been drawing comparisons to Bray Wyatt's work. So, just be careful, I guess, is what I'm saying. Unless he wants to weather that storm, which is absolutely fine. But, But no, yeah, listen, this match was nothing burger. I really didn't like it. The Claudio pre-tape, we get a Claudio pre-tape reacting to Eddie's pre-tape, because it was a pre-tape earlier. So I don't know how that works. I don't know how you react to a pre-tape via pre-tape. I don't know. But basically he says he's sick and tired of Eddie complaining for the past 10 years, and this will be the final chapter of their thing. So, they've done everything to make this main event feel special. I'm saying main event. This match feels special. And at this stage, it probably does. It probably will be the main event of Grand Slam. It's starting to feel that way. Don't think anything's been booked as a bigger match anyway. Rob Van Dam will be wrestling, because look, I'm convinced Moxley versus Ray Phoenix is opening up the show this Wednesday. Convinced. And then Rob Van Dam was announced to be wrestling in Grand Rapids next week. where there are only 2,176 tickets distributed, of course, always according to WrestleTix. So listen, this is what they're doing. Look at what Tony Khan is doing, and you cannot blame him for not trying. And he's probably doing this for television as well, trying to extract trying to get as many people on watching on a Saturday night with the football and all that. But look, he's doing the Texas Death Match next week, right? He's doing Jay White versus Andrade, which is a solid mid-card match, and then Rob Van Dam for the local people, trying to get people into the building. This is what it is. This is a promotional tactic as old as time. Get the local boy in there. Get the local superstar in there. There've been reports, rumors, right, that Rob Van Dam was X'd out of any WrestleMania plans for next year or something because he showed up on AEW. Well, Tony's probably like, I got you back, brother. Don't worry about it. We'll get you some work. Look, all of this works for me. Now, is this going to push tickets out of the 2,176 range that we have right now? But maybe Ricky Starks and Danielson in another potential violent bloodbath. Sure. I got to compliment Tony Khan for taking the risk of pulling Danielson out of the bubble wrap just before his marquee match for Wrestle Dream. Because right now, let's be completely frank with each other. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Danielson is the marquee match of the show. If Danielson gets fucked up and can't do the match, sure, Aussie Open and FTR have been announced, and that's a solid one. I'm not saying that there aren't solid matches already announced. I'm excited for Swerve versus Page. That'll be another fun one. But what I'm saying is that if Danielson gets fucked up, you're probably losing the majority of people who already purchased tickets, the 4,000 some people, or the 3,000 some people that originally purchased the tickets or whatever. You're probably losing them. They might not even show up. They won't be part of the turnstile count. They'll be part of the drop rate. Oh, good fucking Lord. But no, listen. This is clearly Tony Khan doing everything he can to draw people into the building next week in Michigan. I don't blame him. Look, I don't blame him. And then we have the AEW TBS title match to wrap it up. Kris Statlander successfully retaining it against Britt Baker. This was very good. Very good. And my match of the night. First time the women main event a Collision on top of that. And good idea to do it too. Britt being home, her alma mater. That's good. Good for her. And it's, again, good promotional tactics. Because it makes the match look bigger, more important. Why wouldn't you do that? The opposite is silly. Kris Statlander uses a lot of her strength, and she's working in control of Britt. Kind of like a heel. Like she has control segments, but she's not full-on heel, trying to elicit bad reactions from the crowd. She's just in control. So, tweener, I guess here. And she's doing this just so that the hope spots get effective, right? So that when Britt does mount her hope spots, they work, and they do. Power slam and a stalling suplex by Statlander, along with a backbreaker as well. Statlander misses a moonsault, and Britt Baker wraps the knees around the post on the floor. Of course, Statlander's knees are going to be the story of every one of her matches moving forward. She lands a pair of sling blades, Statlander with a blue thunderbomb and a fisherman's driver. A stomp by Britt Baker, who goes for the lockjaw, but Statlander avoids it. They get a big strike exchange. Britt Baker has this great sequence with a Canadian Destroyer, lands the Angel Wings, which used to be her old finisher, and a stomp, but Statlander kicks out. Just a fantastic little sequence there by Baker that really got the crowd into it. Well put together. Britt Baker then gets an octopus lock in, and then in the octopus lock, sets in the lockjaw, which brings Statlander down to the mat, and Statlander rolls her over onto her shoulders to collect the pinfall. I love the finish. I thought this was very good. I thought this was a very good match. Great showing by the women's division. Look, this is what I've been saying for weeks at this point. Just turn to the women that can do the job, that can make this happen. This was very good. Statlander continuing to focus on her strength as opposed to doing flippy doos and, technical shit. Focus on her strength, which is her strength. The fact that she's bigger than everyone on the roster. Most people, now that Jade's gone, allegedly gone. Apparently she's reporting to the Performance Center this week. Rumors are going around. Apparently. But now that she is the biggest woman in the division, use that. Use that to her advantage. Don't try to be cute and fancy. Just power through it. Use moves. Big power moves. It looks good on Statlander. It's something that I talked about with Charlotte Flair as well. When Charlotte is not trying to do handsprings and fucking moonsaults, she looks great. When she's focused on doing her shit, just using her own size and, her advantages, her strength advantage, her, the fact that her limbs are very long and her kicks, and Charlotte looks like $1 million. It's when she starts trying to get cute and you're like, all right, hit the bricks, lady. Get out of here. This is what Statlander needs to do. Continuously use this pattern of offense for her matches moving forward instead of trying to do, flippy doos. I thought this was very good. Good showing by Britt as well, who I felt here Britt was bringing it, and probably extra motivated because she was in her in her environment, in her hometown, in her home college, I guess. So probably a little extra motivation there, but didn't feel like the effuse Britt Baker. Just very good. Yeah, I like this. I thought this was a great way to wrap up the show. We saw Julia Hart looking down on this from the rafters, from up in the from up in the mezzanine, looking down on this match. And I'm gonna tell you, this is the opposite. When I say push the right women, this is not what I mean. I like Julia Hart. I think her presentation is fantastic. I still think she's green as grass. And if the idea is for her to suddenly have a program with a champion, we are missing the entire point, and we are missing what this match should have taught us. Julia Hart, super green. Super duper duper green. Julia Hart. Not bad, just super not ready. Great presentation, great presence, awareness, not ready to wrestle a championship one-on-one match. We'll leave it at that for now. So there you go. That's my look. Again, I thought the main event was very good. Very good. The opener was good as well. I enjoyed them both. In the middle, it's a bit of a mixed bag. I thought some things were just completely uninteresting. I thought, look, matches that were solid, like Andrade and Scorpio Sky, I thought it was a solid match, but didn't elicit any emotion, didn't get me into it. Thought it was very, very by the book. So a collision that looked rough on paper, that kind of delivered that level of roughness. Something there, it's like, this was not the best foot forward. It was a Collision that was setting things up, setting up matches for next week, setting up matches for Wrestle Dream, continuing the hype for Grand Slam, which is what, don't get me wrong, this is all shit they should be doing. Promote, getting things ready for next week's shows, especially when attendance is so important, especially for New York, especially for Wrestle Dream as well. But I felt it was kind of at the detriment of sitting down to watch 2 hours of pro wrestling, a show that you enjoy. I thought that the show suffered because of this need to get asses in the seats for other shows. As that make sense? I think this is what happened here. And next week already looks better. Like next week, I'm already excited for next week. Let's fucking go. Yeah. We're going to wrap it up for that on that level, folks. We're done for today, though. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. Thank you very much for listening. Again, likes, subscriptions, reviews, ratings on all of your formats and podcasts and YouTubes and all of that. I would appreciate it a great deal. I'll be back on Tuesday for the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, recording live at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. In the meantime, have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you next time.